RFD has wrapped 360 degrees around it.
While others ran away,
Amazing sight.
Tim Samaras ran towards.
It's just totally unbelievable what's happened, because it should never have happened to Tim.
Longtime friend and fellow storm chaser Karen Hill says the tornado Samaras and team chased Friday suddenly changed direction.
This is a big hole in the storm chasing community. He's going to be missed forever.
Well, it's amateur. People do it for fun. They court this danger, and it's awful these things happen. But why are these people doing this to begin with? Tim was not that kind of person, right? I mean, he was out there trying to find a way to predict these things and save lives.
I know it's supposed to be tough to talk about today, but Tim was the cream of the crop when it came to researchers.
Yeah, I'm terribly saddened. My condolences to his family. I knew Tim very well, and he was a pioneer in terms of taking scientific measurements. Now, we can do things with Doppler radar, but you're getting measurements there tens to hundreds of feet above the ground. We need to know what happens right down at ground level, and Tim pioneered the development of pods, portable systems that he would get out in his van, grab these things, put them out in the way of the tornado, and then get out of the way. They would record the data, and then afterwards he would go in and collect those. So pressures, winds, measurements, he got that many times.
People think the movie Twister, he was doing what you saw in the movie Twister. So could you ever imagine that something like this would happen? I mean, we never hear storm chasers or researchers getting killed in a tornado. As far as I know, this is the first time this has happened.
Tim was a genius, great concept to try to get a pod that would survive a tornado. That was his passion, is to make something survive a tornado and get great data and therefore understand what the air is doing, what the pressure is doing right there near the ground where people live.
I really couldn't understand it. Life is not like before anymore. And all that fun times, I mean, it's like storm chasing for me completely changed, completely.
By the time I'm old and retired, I'm hoping to contribute enough that people can take this piece and run with it. Then others, younger people, such as the college students that are participating on this, can take off and then finish out the mission when I'm long gone.
In the direct path, the Twistex crew is riding out the storm alongside the road near a creek. The vortex briefly stalls over their Chevy Cobalt. It tumbles over 5 times. They do not survive.
One of our teammates, Matt Gritch, called us saying that he was seeing rumors flying around that Tim, Carl, and Paul had been killed. And then he actually had gotten some kind of message from Tim's son, Matt, telling him that they had been killed in the El Reno tornado. He wanted to contribute to the tornado science, and it just kept him going.
Tim was not simply a storm chaser. He was a scientist with a cause. While he knew what he did was dangerous, he recently told 7 News, when we rode along with him for a chase, that he wanted to help predict these storms better and find ways to keep people safer. It was a challenge Tim and his crew faced with determination.
What I'm trying to do is to help understand how strong the wind field is near the ground of a tornado. And we hand that information off to the structure engineer. If the house doesn't fall apart, people are taking refuge on the inside of the home, you might have saved their lives.
Storm chaser community went out and lined themselves up to form the initials of Tim Samaras, Paul Samaras, and Carl Young.
There's a million thoughts going through my head right now, guys, but the fact is we just lost a great man, a great pioneer for meteorology, and then that's just tough to wrap my arms around right now.
You know, woke up to the terrible news that the Twistex team, you know, Tim and Paul Samaras and Carl had lost their lives from that monster tornado. And to lose another close friend of storm chasing still is definitely difficult. I would say that Tim was definitely a mentor figure, you know, always looking out for us and kind of giving me advice in certain situations, and you know, it was just a good friend. And we ran into Tim, Paul, and Carl out on the road in their white truck just a few days before that on May 27th near Cora, Kansas. And we were both chasing that tornadic supercell up there, and we had one of our many roadside meetings, and I'm just really thankful that, you know, we happened to cross paths right there, because you know, you should never take any friendship or any opportunity to hang out for granted, because you never know if it could be your last, especially with storm chasing. And it's definitely sad, but very, very appreciative to have that last meeting with the Twistix team.
So this tragedy was magnified for me, because here's the person, the icon, who preaches safety and is killed by a tornado.